Director, ISSS, for the welcome address.
Thank you, Anu. At the outset, let me apologize on behalf of ISSS for the difficulties caused in logging in. You know, internet gods always have an upper hand over the human beings, I presume. Anyway, uh, well, uh, things were out of our hands, and I apologize particularly to the speaker. I just received a call from her husband, Professor Narasimhan. Well, good evening to all of you. This evening we shall read Yatīndramata-dīpika, a popular text in the Vishishtadvaita tradition that details particularly the Vishishtadvaita theory of knowledge. The Deepika is known for its epistemological contributions, authored by Srinivasa Das, as he is popularly called, of for the 17th century. Though the text is popular for its epistemological contributions, it is all comprehensive, consisting of all the three factors, the tattva hita and the purushartha, the epistemic, the metaphysical, and the ethical as well as the religious dimensions of the Vishishtadvaita tradition. As the text titled, the Mata of the Yatindra referring to Sri Ramanuja himself. What is unique of Sri Ramanuja, the Yatindra, is that, he has made a beautiful synthesis of the Pancharatra tradition and that of the Vedantic text, the Prasthanatrayas. And this is how he is distinct from the Advaita tradition, and therefore it is called the Ubhaya Vedanta. As often I reiterate, it is wrong to think that Ramanuja's Vedantic theism emerged all in a sudden from nowhere as a counter thesis to Shankara. No, not at all. On the contrary, it was an explicit expression of the enduring theism that was entertained for long. It predates even Buddha, of a great tradition of Bodhayana, Tanka, Dramata, Guhadeva, Kabardin, some of them whom Ramanuja himself refers to, Bharuchi, among others. And to vouchsafe this, Bhandarkar quotes several inscriptions. We philosophers, we are hardly bothered about the history part of it. Of course, some of my colleagues like Dr. Sangameshan are particularly interested in history, but I'm one who would like to sidestep history because we philosophers have never been so conscious of the historical facts. And but nevertheless, it's interesting to know that Bhandakar, quoting various inscriptions, has tried to prove that worship of Vasudeva and Sankarshana predates, as I have said, even that of Buddha. Now, friends, the contributions of Yatindra, Sri Ramanuja, lies in giving a systematic form to monotheism, following the Ubhaya Shastras. Now, the peculiarity of Vishishtadvaita, as all of you know, is that while accepting one singular absolute reality, it permits inherent divisions, or what he calls the prakaras, and the three principles, the three metaphysical principles, the jiva, jagat, and the ishvara, and the abradhak siddhi that exists among them is what is unique of Vishishtadvaita. And today we have the scholar who would speak particularly on the epistemological factors. We know that she is Nayayika professionally, but nurtured in the Vaishnavite tradition. She is very well familiar with the text and the tradition as such. So speaking very briefly about, she is the master. The text deals with, starts defining what Pramai is, and the two conditions that he puts forth is that it should correspond to reality, Yadhardham Jnanam Sa Prama, as in the case of Nyaya, And the second is that it should be Vyavahara Anugunam, like it should have a pragmatic purpose, or it should fulfill certain pragmatic purposes. Like when you look for water, it should be something that quenches our thirst. So, Yadhavasthita Vyavahara Anugunam Jnanam Prama. This is the definition, and speaks at length about perception and the difficulties confronted in perception. And when we come to Anumāna, it is the Vyapya Vyapaka Sambandha. And Vyapti is extensively been dealt with. And he reiterates, the text reiterates the requirement for Bhuyodarshana, repeated observation of the Sambandha between the Vyapya and the Vyapaka. And with regard to the members of the syllogism, I'm sure Dr. Usha would refer to that, since she's going to speak particularly on the Anumāna Avatāra. The centuries-long discussion between the Nayayikas and the Vedantans, as well as the other traditions, with regard to the number of members in the syllogism, whether it should be 5 or 3 or 2 or 1. The Vishishtadvaitins, particularly the Dīpika, views that it could be either 3 or 2. In fact, it depends on the sharpness and the acceptability of the receiver. Well, there are several issues involved in that. So, friends, today we have an eminent scholar with us, Dr. Usha Srinivasan, who would speak on the Anumāna, the second avatar of the Yatīndramata-dīpika. I've got a huge CV of Dr. Usha with us. She's an associate professor who has been in the academic field for past 22 years. I have known her as the better half of Professor Narasimhan, who is known to me since my university days in University of Madras, where I flourished during my younger days. Well, she has been a bright scholar, received her UG CJRF, and since then, during this 22 years, she has immensely contributed to the world of academia. She has had several major projects like study on compounds in Sanskrit, a critical study of Valmiki Ramayana and Ramcharitamanas of Tulsidas, and references to Itihasas in the Nalayira Divya Prabandham. Some of the projects that she has undertaken, and she has published books and contributed to the chapters in the volume. And I see 4 such ones. And she is also undertaking, she's currently working on 3 book projects, and she's been awarded with Sri Vaishnava Siddhanta Ranchani in 2005. Congratulations, Dr. Usha, for that. And she seems to have organized several seminars. It's pretty impressive that she had organized more than 25 conferences at this young age. I'm sure she's a very contributive academic, because organizing a conference is no joke, I know that. And has also made several presentations in conferences, and also published quite a lot in the journals, as well as in the compiled volumes. I'm not going to enlist all of them because it's pretty long, and it gives me immense happiness and pleasure to introduce this bright young scholar to the members of Sri Shankara Study Circle, and to Dr. Usha Srinivasan, who is joining us for the first time. Ms. Srinivasan, this is a forum where scholars gather to share our ideas with regard to Advaita tradition or any stream of Vedanta, where we read the basic text and discuss. And though we do several international programs and lectures, I see it as a flagship program of the school, because what can be more beneficial other than reading the primary text and discussing it. So as I've often say that this is a kind of a guru runa that we are paying to our great masters. And with this few introductory remarks, I once again invite Dr. Usha Srinivasan to this August gathering, and over to Dr. Usha.
Thank you, ma'am. So at the outset, I would like to thank you all for giving me this nice opportunity. Traditionally we say kalakshepa. We have to spend time in useful ways. So this is the best way. So really, this is a commendable initiative. This is a commendable work you are doing. That is looking into the Mula Granthas and the Vyakhyanas. This is a great thing which we have to do. We have to stick on to the roots, and then only we can just wander at will wherever we wish in the field of knowledge. Only if we are rooted in the Mula Granthas. So this is what is most required. So I'm very happy that such a thing is going on for long. So he was telling about what you are all doing. So I thank you all and the authorities of the university for giving this opportunity to me, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now most of my work is made very easy by madam. She has given a nice introduction. But anyway, I will make a small presentation and continue looking into the text. So now I am given the text Yatīndramata-dīpika. The topic I have to deal with is the second Avatāra, Anumāna. Generally, what people say is Yatīndramata-dīpika is the basic text, like Tarkasangraha. But in my experience, after reading Nyaya Siddhanjana, Nyaya Parishuddhi, and all other higher texts on Vishiktadvaita and coming back to Yatīndramata-dīpika, I could see that it is like sutra. He has given so many ideas in that. So though it is a very basic text, yet it needs to be studied with great care. So I plan to give a small introduction to the text, and we go into the proper study of the text, and I give a conclusion wherein I just point out what are the contributions here. Now taking up the text Yatīndramata-dīpika. Yatīndrasya matam Yatīndramatam tasya dīpika Yatīndramata-dīpika. So the view of Yatindra or Ramanuja. So the text that which illumines or makes known clearly the views of Ramanuja, that is Yatīndramata-dīpika. So it is the Siddhanta of Ramanuja which is being illumined in this text. It was composed by Srinivasacharya of 17th century. So he was the disciple of Mahacharya, a great author who has contributed a lot, unique works. So he comes from that tradition. So that is why he could just in capsule, he's giving all the great ideas in the higher texts of Vishishtadvaita Vedanta. So as pointed out by Professor Shrikala, it is a compendium of Vishishtadvaita Vedanta, and it covers all the Tattva, Hita and Purushartha. So just I move on to the Mangala Shloka of the text. Mangala Shloka of the text is Shri Venkatesham Karishailanātham Shri Devarajam Katikadrisimham Krishnena Sakam Yatirajamide Swapne Chadrishtan Mamadeshikendran Yatishwaram Pranamyaham Vedantaryam Mahagurum Karomi Balabodhartam Yatīndramata-dīpika. So having offered his prostrations to the deities, he worships Ramanuja and also his own guru Vedantarya Mahacharya. And he says he composes this work Yatīndramata-dīpika for the sake of Balabodhartam. So Bala, we all know, as it is well known in Tarkasangraha also, Bala means not a child, natu stanandayaha, grahana dharana patavaha, those who can comprehend the ideas and hold it and are able to apply. They are said to be Balas. So for them, I composed this work. Now, how does this text commence? He, as said already, Tattva, Hita and Purushartha, that is being insisted on, says he starts with the Padarthas or categorization. He says the entire Padartha, as far as Vishittadvaita Vedanta is concerned, is only twofold. It is Pramana and Prameya. And it starts with, he says, Pramanani Trinyeva. Here we can see Sarvam Pramanani Trinyeva. So Pramanas are only three: Pratyaksha, Anumana, and Shabda. That is why in the first, he starts with the Padartha Jata. He talks everything about the rest. Prameyam Dvividam, Dravya Dravya Vedat. Prameya is twofold as Dravya and Adravya. And he deals with all those things, and he comes back and says we deal with Pramana first. And in the first Avatara, he deals with Pratyaksha. Then he moves on to the next. In Avatara 1, he deals with Pratyaksha. In Avatara 2, Anumana. Avatara 3, Shabda. In this, he completes the Pramana Vichara. So Padartha is twofold as Pramana and Prameya, and all the Padarthas are exhausted in the first three Avataras. Then the rest are with regard to the Prameyas. Avatara 4 is Prakriti. Avatara 5, Kala. Avatara 6, Nitya Vibhuti. Avatara 7, Dharmabhuta Jnana. Avatara 8, Jiva. Avatara 9, Ishvara. Avatara 10, Adravya. So now we are going to take up the second Avatara, Anumana. So what do you first mean by the term Anumana? Anu, Paschat, Manam, Pramanam, Anumanam. So it is a Pramana which follows. Which Pramana? What is that which it follows? Pratyaksham Anu Pramanam. Because it is based on Pratyaksha, you have to see the Hetu and then only proceed. So it is based on Pratyaksha. So Pratyaksham Anu Pramanam. It is a Pramana. That Anumana is a Pramana. That is why it is called as Anumanam Pramanam. So it closely follows Pratyaksha. It has to come after Pratyaksha. It is based on Pratyaksha. So that is why it is called Anumana. And how do we define Anumana? The text says Anumiti Karanam Anumanam. So whatever happens to be the Karana means the Asadharana Karana or the unique cause. Whatever happens to be the unique cause of Anumiti is said to be Anumana. So from Anumana, we have Anumiti. Then what is the form of Anumana? What is the form of Anumiti? I am giving the general form here. Sadhya Vyapya Hetumanayam Pakshaha. So Paksha is the place wherein we are going to prove. For example, when we say Parvato Dhuma, Parvato Vanniman Dhumat. So the mountain is possessed of fire as it has smoke. Here, smoke is the Hetu, and with that Hetu, we prove Vanni or fire in the Parvata. So Parvata is the Paksha, Sadhya is Vanni, and Hetu is Dhuma. So here we have Hetumanayam Pakshaha. So this is the first thing which we, whenever we want to make inference, we have 4 steps. First of all, we should have Pakshadharmata-jnana. First of all, we should see the Hetu in the Paksha. One has to have the knowledge of one. He has to go and see the presence of smoke in the mountain. After seeing that, he remembers the invariable relation between the smoke and the fire and says, here is a smoke that has invariable relation with fire. That is what is being said here. Sadhya Vyapya Hetumam Ayam Pakshaha. This mountain is possessed of one smoke which is invariably related to fire. So this is the Anumana, and from that Anumana we get the Anumiti, which is of the form Pakshaha Sadhyavan, Parvato Vanniman. The mountain is possessed of fire. So that is what I have given here. This is the general form. Sadhya Vyapya Hetumanayam Pakshaha is the Anumana. That is, there are difference of views whether Paramarsha is required or not. Whatever it is, Vyapti Jnana and Vyapti Smriti, these two go to Vyapti Jnana and Pakshadharmata Jnana together. Once we have this Anumana. So I have given it in a compounded form. Pakshadharmata Jnana plus Vyapti. Sadhya Vyapya Hetumanayam Pakshaha. From that we have Anumiti, which is generally of the form Pakshaha Sadhyavan. Specifically, it is Parvataha Vannimam. So Vanni Vyapya Dhumavanayam Parvataha, Parvataha Vannimam. So this is what Anumana is. And we now move on to the text. Now, atha anumanam nirupyate. Then Anumana is being elaborated. He says, vyapyasya vyapyatva anusandhanat vyapaka vishesha pramitihi upamitihi tat karanam upamanam. We saw all these things. So vyapya is less pervasive. That is what we have to see now. So vyapti, what do we mean by vyapti? It is an invariable relation. So invariable concomitance. So vyapya means which is pervaded, and vyapaka is pervader. So vyapya is hetu, vyapya is linga, vyapya is sadhaka, and this hetu is said to be vyapya. Why he is giving the definition? Anadika desha kala niyatam. That is the definition given in Yatīndramata-dīpika. Generally, to understand, we say that which remains in alpadesha vrittitvam, alpakala vrittitvam, that which remains in less time or lesser space, that is said to be vyapya. And so he further says avinabhutam, it is invariable relation. So wherever there is smoke, there is fire. So wherever there is smoke, there is fire. This relation never breaks. It is an invariable relation. Then coming to vyapaka, vyapaka is the sadhya. It is the pervader. It is anyuna deshakala vritti. So it remains everywhere and even beyond. So that is the thing. So tat pratisambandhi. So that which is related to vyapya. Tat pratisambandhi, that which is correlated to vyapya is vyapaka. See, wherever there is smoke, there is fire. So this is the general thing. But wherever there is fire, there is smoke. We cannot say this because there is ayogolaka or hot iron, wherein Vani is there, but there is no smoke. So this makes fire more pervading than vyapya, the dhuma. Hope it is clear. So vyapti is niyata sambandha, and here in vyapti we are going to add one more aspect later. So this vyapti involves two things, vyapya and vyapaka. Vyapya refers to hetu, vyapaka refers to the sadhya. Vyapya, why it is called vyapya is it remains in lesser space and time, but vyapaka is present in so many places. So that is why it is more pervasive. That is why it is pervader, and that is pervaded. So avinabhutam. So this hetu is never leaves the sadhya, but this sadhya leaves the hetu and is present in ayogolaka without dhuma. So that is the thing that is being said there. That is the definition that is given in the text. And vyapti is twofold. The text proceeds to say vyapti is twofold as anvaya vyapti and yatireka vyapti. Now I give the general form. Anvaya vyapti is hetu sadhyayo vyaptihi. When there is an invariable relation between the hetu and the sadhya. Yatra hetuhu, tatra sadhyaha. Wherever hetu is present, there the sadhya is present. This is anvaya vyapti or positive concomitance, wherein we speak positively. Where there is hetu, there is sadhya. Vyatireka vyapti is vyatireko nama abhavaha. Vyatireka means absence. So here we talk in terms of negative terms. So it is negative concomitance. So sadhya bhava, hetva bhavayoho vyapti, vyatireka vyapti. We have to be very careful about this order. Here it is hetu sadhyayoho vyapti. Here it is sadhya bhava, hetva bhavayoho vyapti. It is not hetva bhava, sadhya bhavayoho vyapti. It is ruled out. So yatra sadhya bhavaha, tatra hetva bhavaha, that is to be stated. For example, in the instance of Vani and Dhuma, yatra hetuhu, yatra dhumaha, tatra sadhyaha. So where there is smoke, there is fire. For example, in the Mahanasa or the kitchen. Not in today's kitchen, in the yesterdays or in the places where woods are used for cooking. So tatra yatra hetuhu, tatra sadhyaha, yatra dhumaha, tatra vannihi. But here it should be yatra sadhya bhavaha, tatra hetu bhavaha, yatra vanya bhavaha, tatra dhuma bhavaha. Yatha mahahrade, in a pond or a lake or some other place wherein there is no smoke and no fire. So, yatra sadhya bhavaha, where there is the absence of vanni, there is the absence of dhuma. This is the order which should not be changed, because already we told you, if we make the other way, what happens? Yatra hetu bhavaha, tatra sadhya bhavaha. Where there is no dhuma, there is fire, if we say so. Then in ayogolaga, there is no dhuma, but there is fire. So, tat yatra hetu bhavaha, dhuma bhavaha yatra ayogolake. In the ayogolaka or the hot iron, there is no smoke, but there is fire. So we cannot turn the order otherwise. So it should be yatra hetu bhavaha, yatra sadhya bhavaha, tatra hetu bhavaha. So these are the two vyaptis we had, and the terms involved were sadhya, which is vyapaka or lingi, or so, and sadhana is vyapyam, hetu, lingam. Then, while talking about the hetu, this is a very, very important thing. He is now going to bring in upadhi concept. So he says, upadhi rahita sadhya sambandavad vyapyam. Vyapya or the hetu is that which has a relation with the sadhya without an upadhi. So there should not be upadhi. When there is a relation between sadhya and that is the sadhya and the hetu or the vyapya, then upadhi should not be there. If upadhi is there, then the sadhya cannot, the hetu cannot establish the sadhya. So upadhi rahita, without the upadhi, the vyapya or the hetu should have relation with the sadhya. That is the thing that is insisted in the text. He says, the author says, upadhi rahita sadhya sambandhavati vyapyam. Then, what do you mean by vyapya and vyapaka? Once again, anadika deshakala niyatam. So, which vyapya is lesser. So, it remains in lesser places, in lesser time, along with the thing. That is vyapya, less. And anyuna deshakala varti is, there is nowhere where it is not present. It is present everywhere and even more. So, that is vyapaka. And then the text proceeds, Seyam ubhayavida vyaptihi upadhi sambandhena dushyati. This is very important. Now he is bringing in, why have you included that aspect, upadhi rahita? Once there is upadhi, both these two types of vyaptis, anvaya vyapti as well as vyatireka vyapti, dushyati, it will not be fruitful. It cannot prove. It cannot do what it was intended. So it cannot do. So these two types of upadhi, vyapti, when there is this sambandha of upadhi, then it fails to prove. Then it fails in its purpose. So it should not be, upadhi should not be there. Now, taking up upadhi. What is this upadhi? So upadhi is something which is going to mar, which is going to stop the vyapti between hetu and sadhya. So that is what I have also given here separately in the next slide. So upadhi is something, vyapti dushakaha upadhihi. The author says upadhi is something which disturbs the vyapti, which collapses the vyapti. So once upadhi is there can be no vyapti.
Yes.
Yes, it vitiates. Now, sadhya vyapakatve sati sadhana vyapakatvam upadhi. That is being given here. The definition of upadhi is sadhya vyapakatve sati sadhana vyapakatvam. Why should this be given? Why? What is the need for giving this definition like this? We have to understand a little bit about this upadhi. So, see, for example, we can have the inference Parvato Vanniman Dhuma. So the mountain is possessed of fire as it is possessed of smoke. It cannot be otherwise. Parvato Dhumavan Vannehe. If we are going to say this, then what happens? The mountain is possessed of smoke as it has fire. Now here we have and upadhi in the form of ardra indana samyoga. Ardra indana samyoga is ardra is wet, indana is fuel, samyoga is association. There is an association of wet fuel. When the wood we use is not well dried, then naturally we have a lot of smoke. So smoke has invariable relation with Parvato Dhumavan as Sadhya. As Sadhya, smoke is invariably related to Ardra Indana Samyoga and not to Vanni. So, Sadhya Vyapakatve Sati, Sadhana Vyapakatvam is the Upadhi that is being given. See, Sadhya is here in Parvato Dhumavan Vannehe, that is, the mountain is possessed of smoke as it is possessed of fire. Here the Sadhya is Dhuma. And the sadhana or the hetu is vanni. So this upadhi, namely ardra indana samyoga, will have vyapti with sadhya and not with the sadhana or the hetu. See what there, how it comes. See, yatra dhumaha tatra ardra indana samyoga. Where there is smoke, there is association of wet fuel, and this is sadhya vyapakatva. So it has vyapti with the sadhya. And sadhana vyapakatva. Sadhana is hetu. And what is the hetu here? Vanni. So yatra vannihi tatra ardra indana samyogaha nasti. When the fire is very well burning, there is no question of wet fuel present there. So sadhana vyapakatva. So actually what it comes down is this sadhya cannot be proved by the sadhana that is given here. The particular hetu vanni cannot prove dhuma. And this upadhi alone can prove the sadhya. That is why it has sadhya vyapakatva. This is a very important point to be noted. So upadhi can prove the sadhya and not the hetu that was given here. So once you have upadhi, then it vitiates the vyapti between dhuma and vanni. Then we have the inference turned otherwise as Parvato Dhumavan Vannehe, wherein vanni happens to be the hetu and dhuma happens to be the sadhya. So in such instances, we have the upadhi. That is why the definition is given as sadhya vyapakatve sati. It has invariable relation with the sadhya, but not with the sadhana. So what it says is only the upadhi can prove the sadhya and not the cause which you have given in the inference. So dhuma, Parvato dhumavan, the dhuma, the sadhya can be proved only by vanni and not by, cannot be proved by vanni, but only by ardra indana samyoga. That is what is being said here. Parvato dhumavan vannehe. Here ardra indana samyoga is the upadhi. So sadhya is dhuma, sadhana or hetu is vanni. So here the sadhya vyapakatva can be explained as yatra dhumaha tatra ardra indana samyogaha. Wherever there is smoke, there is association of wet fuel. Yatra vannihi tatra ardra indana samyoga abhavaha. So avyapti. So there is no vyapti between fire and the wet fuel. So when we have upadhi, vyapti is lost. So this another example is also given by the author of the text. He says, Maitri Tanayaha Shyamaha. Maitri Tanayatvat. The son of Maitri is dark in color because he is the son of Maitri. Here, Shakapaka Janyatva is the upadhi. Might be they take greens every day during pregnancy, and consuming greens every day during pregnancy. So when it gets digested, then the darkness comes to the child. That is what is said here. So it is Shakapaka Janyatvam. Shakapaka, due to the digestion of the green, we have the Shyamatva. So Shyamatva, the Sadhya in Maitri Tanaya, is not because he is the son of Maitri, but because it is it is caused by the digestion of greens. That is what is said here. So Therefore, nirupadhika sambandhavati vyapyam. So the vyapya or the hetu, it should have association with the sadhya without the upadhi. Upadhi rahita sadhya sambandhavati vyapyam. Vyapya is the hetu, and this hetu, it should have association with sadhya without any upadhi. So this concept of upadhi is very important because it is very vital, because in inference, invariable concomitance is very important. This here is a concept which vitiates it. So we have to be very careful about it while making inferences. Then he classifies upadhi into two as nishchita upadhi and shankita upadhi. These are the things which we find here in the text. So he says upadhi is nishchita and shankita. For example, vipratipanna seva dukkha hetuhu sevatvat rajasevavat. So here is an inference made. A particular person is serving somebody. Now, that service rendered is taken as the paksha, that service. That service is the cause of dukkha. That is caused by dukkha. So, because seva is caused by dukkha, because it is a seva, raja sevavat. So, when somebody is serving the king, it is not at all times. Working under a boss is not happy at all times. It is like slavery. So, it is a cause of dukkha. So, vipratipanna seva, the service under question, is the cause of dukkha because it happens to be a service, like serving a king. So that is what is given here. And here the upadhi is papa arabdhatvam, caused by sin. Wherever there is dukkha, that should be papa. So the papa only causes dukkha. So papa arabdhatvam is the upadhi here. So, but in here the vipratipanna seva is that is the disputed services, the dispute rendered to God. In the Vedanta, in the Vishishtadvaita Siddhanta, service to the Lord is said to be the ultimate goal. So Bhagavat Seva is said to be the ultimate goal. And now this is being questioned. How can you say service as the ultimate goal? It is dukkha hetu. How can that be the ultimate goal? For that he says, vipratipanna seva dukkha hetu. But it is not so. All the sevas are not so. Wherever there is paparabdhatvam, there only we have dukkha hetu. But in the case of Ishvara seva, it is ruled out. Paparabdhatvam is ruled out. Dukkha hetutva is ruled out. So that is not going to be so. So vipratipanna seva dukkha hetuhu sevatvat rajasevavat. This inference has paparabdhatvam. Only if it is caused due to papa, it is going to be dukkha hetu. Here we can see sadhya vyapakatve sati sadhana vyapakatvam. Sadhya vyapakatva, here sadhya is dukkha hetutva. So yatra dukkha hetutvam tatra paparabdhatvam. So that is the thing which we have to know. Yatra sevatvam tatra paparabdhatva abhavaha. Because in the case of the Lord, it is not caused due to sin. So here the inference is vipratipanna seva dukkha hetuhu sevatvat. Sevatvat cannot prove dukkha hetutva in the disputed seva, whereas for it has the upadhi called paparabdhatva. So since this hetu sevatva is possessed of the upadhi paparabdhatva, it cannot prove dukkha hetutva. So here nishchita, here it is confirmed. Sadhya vyapakatvena sadhana vyapakatvena cha nishchitaha. Both sadhya vyapakatva. Yatra dukkha hetutvam tatra paparabdhatvam. And sadhana vyapakata is yatra sevatvam tatra paparabdhatva abhavaha. Because in Bhagavat Seva, it is not paparabdhatva. So, since it is confirmed, nishchita, both sadhya vyapakatva and sadhana vyapakatva are nishchita, we have the nishchita upadhi type. Then, shankita upadhi is there. In shankita upadhi, so this is the line which is given in the commentary which I have highlighted. Why this is called Nishchita Upadhi is Sadhya Vyapakatva and Sadhana Vyapakatva both remain Nishchita, confirmed. So here Upadhitva is confirmed as these two aspects of Upadhi, namely Sadhya Vyapakatva and Sadhana Vyapakatva, are confirmed in this Upadhi called Paparabdhatva. Now in the Shankita Upadhi, Pakshe Sadhana Vyapakatvena Sandigdaha. Now we have to look into this Upadhi and then we can come here. So Vipratipannaha Jivaha Yetat Shariravasane Muktiman Nishpanna Samadhitvat Shukadivat. Now the inference is Vipratipannaha Jivaha. We are taking the case of a particular Jiva. So in that disputed Jiva, what do we wish to establish? Yetat Shariravasane Muktiman. He will attain moksha at the fall of this body. How do you know that? By what you are saying it? Nishpanna Samadhitvat. Since he has attained the state of Samadhi, like Shuka, whenever this body falls, he will attain liberation. That is the inference here. Vipratipannaha jivaha yetat shariravasane muktiman nishpanna samadhitvat shukadivat. Now, karma atyanta parikshayaha is the upadhi that is given here. Now, karma atyanta parikshaya. One might have attained samadhi, but we are not sure whether all his karmas are ripped off. So here, karma atyanta parikshaya is sandigdha or doubted in the case of that particular jiva, not in Shuka and others. It is all well known. Vipratipannaha jiva. That is what the commentator says. Pakshe sadhana vyapakatana. Here, sadhya is shariravasane mukti mokshaha. That is the sadhya. And vipratipanna samadhitva is the hetu. Now, sadhya vyapakatve sati sadhana vyapakatva. Sadhya vyapakatva is yatra yatra sadhya yetat shariravasane mokshaha. Yatra mokshaha tatra karma atyanta parikshayaha. So wherever there is moksha, there the karma has been completely removed. And sadhana vyapakatva is yatra yatra nishpanna samadhitvam tatra karma atyanta parikshayaha. We cannot confirm, we cannot definitely say this. We do not know whether they have truly accomplished it or not. In our standards, we say we do not know whether there is karma atyanta parikshaya or not. So that too, especially in Shuka, fine, it has been very well established. But in this particular jiva we are talking about, in pakshe, in this particular paksha, sadhana vyapakatva is sandigdha. It is still doubted. It is not clear. So we have shankita upadhi. So now, in the case of Nishchita Upadhi, it will definitely vitiate the Vyapti. So no problem. Now, in case of Shankita Upadhi, why we should leave? It is Shankita. So it is not going to vitiate the Vyapti. So why it should be given as a second type of Upadhi? That is a question we have now. If the Upadhi itself is Shankita, we can say that it is not an Upadhi at all and go. No, it cannot be said. He says, then author, the commentator again says, Upadhi Sandeha or the doubt in the Upadhi leads to Avyapti Sandeha. So regarding Vyapti, again there is question raised. There is doubt. It is not confirmed. We have to show a sthala and establish it. But in this particular paksha, this is doubted. So Upadhi Sandeha leads to Avyapti Sandeha. Whether there is Vyapti or not, we will have the doubt. So this hetu, namely nishpanna samadhitva, cannot establish moksha, etat shariravasane mokshaha. Moksha as soon as this body falls. So again, hetoho asadhakatvam, which is there very well for nishchita upadhi. For a confirmed upadhi, the hetu cannot establish the sadhya is very clear. The same remains in shankita upadhi also. So upadhi is twofold as nishchita and shankita. That is the author's explanation given here. And he proceeds to say that hetu has two forms. Hetu manifests, it is reflected in two forms, Vyapti and Pakshadharmata. Vyapti is already, as we have seen, Anvaya Vyapti and Vyatireka Vyapti, positive concomitance and negative concomitance, wherein we have Hetu Sadhyayoho Vyapti and Sadhya Bhava Hetu Bhavayoho Vyapti. Here we have Hetu reflected, here we have Hetu reflected, and because Hetu is the thing which we see, and what the Anumana itself is from known to unknown. It is not from totally unknown to or known to totally unknown. The author says that also at the end. So what is the scope of Anumana? From known to unknown only. So what is seen here? We see the Hetu and infer the Satya. And similarly, so Hetu is reflected in the Vyapti and in Pakshadharmata also. In Pakshadharmata, as I have said, this is the first step. We have to go near a mountain and see the smoke. And immediately we have to relate it to the Sadhya, anala Sadhya Vyapya Hetumanayam Pakshaha. So the mountain has the smoke, which is invariably related to the fire, and then only we can proceed in the inference. So this Hetu is reflected in these two things, terms involved in, steps involved in Anumana, Vyapti and Pakshadharmata. So, and he says Hetu is twofold as Sadhetu and Asadhetu. We cannot say it as twofold. Sadhetu, a proper Hetu is there, and as a contrary to it, we have Asadhetus also, which we call as Hetuabhasas, which also come in the next few slides. And Sadhetu is a proper Hetu. For a proper Hetu, it should have 5 marks. What are they? Paksha Sattvam. It should be present in the Paksha, or the place in which you wish to prove the Satya. So Paksha Sattva, it should be present in the Paksha. Only if you have smoke in the mountain, you can establish fire there. Sapaksha Sattvam, it should also be present in the Sapaksha, namely the Mahanasa or the kitchen, because to get the invariable relation between the two, we have to show a particular place wherein it is confirmed. So it should be present in Sapaksha also. Paksha Sattvam, Sapaksha Sattvam. Then Vipaksha Vyavritti, it should not be there in the Vipaksha. Sapaksha is the place wherein the Sadhya is doubted. Paksha is the place wherein the Sadhya is doubted. Sapaksha is the place wherein the Sadhya is known to be definitely present. Nishchita Sadhyavan Sapakshaha, where the Sadhya is confirmed to be present in a particular place, that is said to be the Sapaksha. And Vipaksha is Nishchita Sadhya Abhavavan, where the absence of Sadhya is confirmed, that is said to be Vipaksha. So this so the Hetu, which has invariable relationship with the Sadhya, should not be present in the place where there is no Sadhya. So Vipaksha Vyavritti should also be there. So that it should, the Hetu, the Sadhetu should not be present in the Vipaksha or the place wherein the Sadhya Bhava is confirmed. Then, so Paksha's definition is Sandigdha Sadhyavan, where the Sadhya is doubted, where the presence of Sadhya is doubted, whether the fire is here or not. Sapaksha is the place wherein we know that there is fire. In the Mahanasa or kitchen, we see the fire. And Vipaksha is the place wherein the absence of Sadhya is confirmed. And we say in the Mahahrada, in a lake or a pond, in that place there is no fire. In that place, the Hetu, the Sadhetu, Dhuma should not be there. Then, Abhadita Vishayatvam. Abhadita Vishayatva means it should not be contradicted. So, Abhaditatva and Asatpratipakshitatva are two things. The main difference between the two is Abhadita, in this case, we have Prabala Pramana. It should not be contradicted by a more powerful Pramana. For example, it should not be contradicted by perception. So when we have or Shabda, these are the 3 Pramanas accepted in Vishiktadvaita Vedanta, Pratyaksha, Anumana and Shabda. And Pratyaksha is more powerful because we see, and Shabda is more powerful because it is something which it can tell about even. There is a beautiful verse in the commentary of Sri Bhashya, Shruta Prakashika. He says, Asannikrishta Vajacha Dvayamatra Jihasitam Tadrupyena Parichittihi Tad Viparyayatopiva. Asannikrishta Vak is the Vak which is not close to us, that is the Veda Vak. the revealed texts. So, two things, dvayamatra jihasitam, two things are totally prohibited by the Vedas. What are they? Tadrupyena parichittihi, defining or describing a thing as it is. For example, saying, looking at a pot and saying this is a pot. It should not say, because it is already established by pratyaksha. When there is a repetition made, then apramanya will come. So the shabda pramana will never repeat what is already known by another pramana. So tadrupyena parichiti, defining a thing, that is describing a thing as perceived, as known to other pramanas, it will not do. Then what will it say? Tad viparyayatopiva. Then looking at the pot, it will not say this is not a pot, but this is a cloth. It will not say that also. Then visibly it is wrong. So again apramanya will come. So avoiding these two, what else will it say? It will say something which you cannot even imagine, which you cannot even see, which is beyond your. So asannikrishtava, that is why it is an asannikrishtava. It might say, as per Vishishta Dvaita is concerned, it will say this ghata has the Paramatman as its antaryami. This ghata means Paramatma. So beautifully in Vedanta Sangraha, Ramanuja says, Dirgha Ishunyaya. So when the arrow is extended and then let out, forcibly it pierces into the target. Likewise, it will be very deep. Likewise, when we use the words fully knowing the meaning of them, then all the words culminate in connoting Paramatman. That is what Vedanta Vakyena hi Vyutpattihi Puryate. Only by listening to the Vedanta, we get the complete knowledge of the relation between the word and its sense. Because just as we say, when we say here is a pot, for example, some Lata is here, she is Lata. Then first we think that Lata refers to the body. Then after coming to know about the Atman, we say Lata refers not only to the body, but also to the soul inside. And then after listening to the Vedanta, we come to know, oh, Paramatman remains as the Antaryami. So it refers not only to her body, to her soul, but also to the inner self. That is the ultimate. So all the words connote the Paramatman, Dirgha Ishunyaya. So a prabala pramana, for that I'm telling. So shabda pramana is the prabala pramana. So abhaditattva here means it should not be contradicted by a more powerful pramana comparatively. So that is abhadita vishaya. Asat pratipakshitattvam is sama pramana. There is another cause which will contradict. If you establish a sadhya by a particular hetu, a person who is more intelligent than you can provide another hetu which will prove the sadhya bhava. So this hetu is possessed of another hetu. With this hetu he established the sadhya, and that is contradicted by another hetu. So then a sama pramana contradicts, it is sat pratipakshitattva. Then a prabala pramana contradicts, then it is abhaditattva. So a sadhetu should not be contradicted by a prabala pramana or should not be contradicted by a sama pramana also. See, these are the 5 marks of a sadhetu. The sadhetu should be present in the paksha, it should be present in the sapaksha, it should not be there in the vipaksha, it should not be contradicted by a prabala pramana, a more powerful means of knowledge, and it should not be contradicted by a sama pramana also. So these are the 5 rupas of the 5 aspects which are most required for a sadhetu. Only if we have all these 5, we can recognize it as a sadhetu. We have to note this point now, because later on, Kevala Vyatireki is going to be rejected by the Visishtadvaitins on these grounds. So now that is the definition of paksha, etc. are given here, which we have already discussed. So here the author highlights Samabalataya Pratiyamana Prabalena Pramanena. So Satpratipakshitatva and Abhaditatva by a prabala pramana, and samabala badhitatva is asat pratipakshittatva. So now he says, so this is the vyapya or the hetu, a sadhetu. This vyapya is of two types, anvaya vyatireki and kevalanvayi. So anvaya vyatireki and kevalanvayi. So he does not count kevala vyatireki. So whenever when we go into the texts of Nyaya, we have three types, anvaya vyatireki, kevalanvayi and kevala vyatireki. But here we can see they accept only two, anvaya vyatireki and kevalanvayi. And when we look into the higher texts, they include kevala vyatireki under kevalanvayi itself. That has been very well illustrated by all those higher texts, how it is being done. But I don't think we have much time to discuss about it. Can I proceed? How long can I talk? Because we have got still a lot to go. Hello? Hello?
Yes.
No, ma'am, you can proceed.
Yeah, thank you. So it is anvaya vyatireki and kevalanvayi are only the two types of hetus that are accepted here. And this anvaya vyatireki, we know that hetu which has both the vyaptis, anvaya vyapti and vyatireka vyapti. For example, we have parvato, vanniman, dhumat. Here dhuma is a hetu which is anvaya vyatireki. Yatra dhuma, tatra vannihi. Yatra vanya bhavaha, tatra dhuma bhavaha. So we can tell both positive and negative concomitants. That is why anvaya vyapti is there, vyatireka vyapti is there. So it is anvaya vyatireki. And the second type is kevala anvayi. Kevala anvayi is accepted. So kevala anvayi is vipaksha rahitam vyapyam kevala anvayi. So here we do not have vipaksha. See, for example, Brahma Shabdavachyam Vastutvat Ghatavat. So this is the Anumāna that is given. Brahma can be conveyed by words, as it is also an object. Vastu, it is also a vastu, like a pot. When this inference is given, here the sadhya is Shabdavachyatva and the hetu is Vastutva. Now, yatra vastutvam, tatra shabdavachyatvam. Okay. So, yatra vastutvam, tatra shabdavachyatvam, it is yatha gataha. Yatra vastutvam, where there is the state of being an object, there it can be conveyed by a word. So, a pot is here. So, yatra vastutvam, tatra shabdavachyatvam, where there is the state of being an object, that in that we can convey by words. So, it is there in the ghata or a pot. But when we come to kevala vyatireki, vyatireka vyapti, what happens is yatra sadhyabhava hetobhavyoho vyapti, yatra shabdavachyatva abhavaha, tatra vastutva abhavaha, yatra shabdavachyatva abhavaha. There we have to show a place which cannot be conveyed by any word. So vipaksha is not at all there. So, since there is no vipaksha, we cannot have vyatireka vyapti. So, it is kevala anvayi. It is a inference which has only anvaya vyapti or positive concomitants. Kevala vyatireka vyapti cannot be given because vipaksha itself is not there. Where there is a thing cannot be communicated by words, there is no vastutva. We cannot proceed at all. We cannot show. Though we say yatra shabdavachyatva abhava, we cannot confirm it by showing a particular sthala. So, vipaksha abhava, since there is no vipaksha, this inference remains to be kevalanvayi. So, this kevalanvayi, we already saw that a sadhetu should have 5 aspects. But here, vipaksha, abhava is there, but since there is no vipaksha at all, we cannot say that vipaksha avrittitva cannot be preceded, since there is no vipaksha at all. So it has only 4 forms. Now, Coming to Kevala Vyatireki, the Vishishtadvaitins, they do not accept Kevala Vyatireki Anumāna at all. Why? He gives beautifully Kevala Vyatireki Sadhya Aprasiddhehe Tad Vyatireka Vyaptihi Durgraha. In Kevala Vyatireki inferences, the Sadhya Aprasiddhehe. So the Sadhya becomes Aprasiddha. Therefore, Vyatireka Vyapti itself cannot be got. So, this Kevala Vyatireki cannot be accepted, he says. See, Kevalanvayini Anvaya Vyatireka. Further he goes. Let me move on to my Sadhya Aprasiddhe. See, now this is the commentary which is there. I have taken it up. So, this is the essence. He says, I am Bhavaha. Anumanat Purvam Sadhyam Kvachit Prasiddham Va Nava. Now, in these Anumanas, they are talking about a Sadhya which is totally not known at all. Anumanat Purvam, before the inference, whether the Sadhya is known to be present elsewhere or not. That is a question raised by the commentator. And he says, Sapakshe Chet Prasiddham Tada Anvayitva. If you say that the Hetu is present in Sapaksha, then we can say it to be Anvaya. Anvaya Vyapti is there, so it is Anvayi. Vipakshe Chet Vyagataha. If you say that Sadhya is known in Vipaksha there should be Sadhya Abhava, not Sadhya itself. So if at all, prior to inference, whether this Sadhya is present or not, if at all it can be present in Paksha, Sapaksha or Vipaksha. If it is present in Sapaksha, then it is Anvaya Vyapti, agreeable to us, and no Vyatireka is there. If you say that it is present in Vipaksha, then Vyaghataha, it should not be present in Vipaksha. That is totally, it is lost. It is not a desired thing at all. It should not be there. Then, Pakshe Chet, Anumana Vayyartyam. If you say that it is Paksha, in Paksha, the Sadhya is known in Paksha, then there is no use of inference at all. Because if you are very definite that the Sadhya is present in the Paksha, then there is no need for the inference at all. You get it through some other pramana or pratyaksha pramana. That is why you say that I confirmed, I know that it is present there. The very definition of Paksha is it should have the doubt regarding the presence of Sadhya. If you say that the Sadhya is present even before Anumana in the Paksha, then there is no use of making any inference. So, since this Sadhya is totally unknown, the Vyatireka Vyapti cannot be got at all. So, Kevala Vyatireki, you say that it has only Vyatireka Vyapti. But why there is no Vyatireka Vyapti? The Sadhya is totally Aprasiddha. So, we cannot accept this. It should be present only. Just as you have, but you do not have a Sthala. In the case of Kevalanvayi, it should be there. But it is not so here. The Sadhya is totally Aprasiddha. And you say that Yatra Sadhya Bhavaha. How can you talk about it? This is totally Aprasiddha and you cannot even open your mouth regarding Yatra Sadhya Bhavaha. So therefore, only because of that, even Vyatireka Vyapti also could not be comprehended. You cannot say that. Vyatireka Vyapti also cannot be comprehended since this Sadhya is totally Aprasiddha, even before inference. Else, nowhere it is there. So, Kevala Vyatireka, just as Anvaya could not be got, Vyatireka Vyapti also could not be had. Ataha, Kevala Vyatireki, Sadhana Dasham Asadayati. So, Kevala Vyatireki cannot reach the state of proving certain things. So, it should be avoided. Atma Siddhi, Nyaya Parishuddhyadau, Kevala Vyatirekinaha, Tarkika Abhimatasya, Khandanam, Kritam Drashtavyam. So, in Atma Siddhi by Yamunacharya, Nyaya Parishuddhi and by Vedanta Deshika, in all those texts, Kevala Vyatireki has been refuted and Tarkika Abhimata Kevala Vyatireki is refuted, and Siddhante tu Uttastale Kusumado Putrachika Siddho Gandho Jaladibevena Gatado Prithivitva Sadhyate iti Anvaya Vyatireki Anvaya Vyatireki Samatam. In certain places it is brought under Anvaya Vyatireki, and in certain other places, in most of the places it is brought only under Anvaya Vyatireki, not under Kevalanvayi. But this Kevala Vyatireki is brought under Anvaya Vyatireki in the system of Vishittadvaita. And further he says, Atyanta Atindriyartham Anumanena Sadhayanti Anumanikaha. Anumanikaha are the Nayayikas who prove even those objects which are totally beyond our perception. Like, just as they have the Ishvara Sadhaka Anumana. Kshityam Kuradikam Sakartakam Karyatvat Ghatavati. That is the inference they have. That is Kshiti Ankura, that is earth, sprouts, etc. They should be possessed of a Karta or an agent, because they all happen to be Karya, products produced. So whatever comes to an end, whatever gets destroyed is a Karya. So all these get destroyed one day or other. So all these are Karya. So whatever is a Karya will be possessed of an agent. Just as we have pot. A pot is there, it is a Karya, and we have a potter who makes it. Likewise, the entire world, it should have a Karta. That is the inference by which they prove Ishvara. But in the Vedanta systems as a whole, whether it is Vishittadvaita or Advaita or Dvaita, whatever it is, we do not accept, because we have the Brahma Sutra, Shastra Yonitva. It cannot be proved by Anumana. Anumana cannot prove, because if at all it can prove a Vishesha Jiva, that's all. Vishwamitra was there, he could even create by the power of his penance. You do not know that God is there. So only the Shastras say, so Shastra Yonitva, since you know that such an entity exists from the Shastras, only the Shastras can serve as the pramana for it and not your inference. So this is Atyanta Atindriya Sthala. This is an instance wherein we talk about the object which is totally beyond our senses. So those things cannot be proved by Anumana. So he restricts, he shows the scope. Where can this Anumana function? That is also being Tanna Yukta Nityaha. So, but since they prove it is not proper, so he says Drishtartha Visajatiyatvam Atyanta Atindriyatvam. What do you mean by Atyanta Atindriyatva? Totally beyond our senses is Drishtartha Vijatiyatvam. What is totally different from what we see? So that is Atindriya. So we cannot proceed. When we go from known to unknown, we cannot go beyond. Unknown cannot be totally beyond us. We can see, but yet I do not know it now. Only within that known unknown, knowable unknown, that alone can be the scope of Anumana, and you cannot proceed beyond that. And it is the view accepted by all the Vedantins. Shastra Yonitva, that Brahma Sutra commentary, in all the Bhashyas we can see that is being beautifully described. Yata Asharireshvara Kartrutvam, Asharira Ishvara Kartrutvam, Tasya Anumanena. So that is what he says. Ishvara happens to be the Karta. So I just spoke about it. So Alaukikartha Siddhaha Shastratayeva iti hardam. So that which is Alaukika, which is beyond this world, which transcends this world, that can be known only from the Shabda Pramana and not from Anumana Pramana. Anumana should not interfere in the area of Pratyaksha. Sorry, or Pratyaksha or Shabda. So it should have defined places. That is being beautifully explained by the commentator also. So having rejected Kevalanvayi and having fixed the scope wherein the Anumana should function, he proceeds to say about Anumana is twofold as Swartha and Parartha. When somebody makes inference of his own, comprehending what are all the steps to be done, so seeing the hetu in the sadhi, in the paksha, and remembering the invariable relation between the two, and then clubbing the two together. And since this hetu is there, that sadhya is also there. So he has to do it for his own. But there are people who could not comprehend the invariable relation between the fire and the smoke. For them, it is to be taught. So that is parartha, for the sake of others. So these are the two types, he says. But sarvesham anumananam, but he says, so according to some, there is only swarthanumana, because even though we teach others, yet they have to comprehend it and arrive it by themselves. So there is only swarthanumana. That is the view of some others.
Ushaji, may I intervene? Can we wind up in another 5 minutes?
Yes, definitely. Then
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, definitely the time is exceeding. This is a very big thing, and I am not going to touch Hetavasa today because it will take a lot of time. It should be dealt with in a separate session. So now we have the Pancha Avayava Vakyas, Pratignya, Hetu, Udaharana, Upanaya, Nigamana, to establish, to prove how we proceed for Pararthanumana. And here, according to some, all need not be accepted. As far as the Nayayikas are concerned, the 5 Avayavas, Pratignya, Hetu, Udaharana, Upanaya, Nigamana, it is to be there. That is Parvato Vandiman. The mountain is possessed of fire. This is the Pratignya, or the we declare this. And what is the Hetu? Dhuma is the Hetu. Udaharana is Mahanasa. And Upanaya Nigamana is, since it is there, similarly it is also here. Since Dhuma is there, the fire should be present here also. Therefore, Parvata is Dhuma. So we conclude. All these 5 Avayavas are there for in Nyaya school. In Mimamsa, they accept only Pratignya, Hetu and Udaharana. That is enough. So only 3 Avayavas they accept. And there are also some more people, the Saugatas, the Bauddhas accept only 2 Udaharana and Upanaya as the Avayavas, only 2. But according to the Vishishtadvaitins, Yati and Pakshadharmata are enough, or Udaharana or Upanaya are enough. But still, beautifully he says, Mridu Madhya Katora Dhyam. So there are people who can very easily comprehend, mediocre comprehension, and Kalpura Buddhi, we say, immediately it gets ignited. So all these, depending upon the person who comprehends, it can be either 5 or 3 or 2. It is not at all there. Our intention is to understand the concept. So it is Sadhetu. That is what Sadhetu has been proved. And we move on to the author moves on to Hetavasa, which I dropped because it is not possible to complete it now because Hetavasa is too big. So thank you. Thank you for your patient listening. Thank you for the opportunity given. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you. Yeah. I'll take over, Anu, since we are running short of time.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you, Shadi, for that wonderful rendition. I was spellbound. I must tell you that such in-depth understanding, as you started, it looked as though that, these are familiar things. But then as you are driving in and taking us inner to the nuances of Vishishtadvaita, how the Kevila Vyatirika has been dropped, and the restrictions of Ubadhi, the conditions, the 5 conditions, and particularly what I liked most was, it has been challenged, when it has been challenged by a Prabala Pramana and a Sama Pramana. It's beautiful. And of course, it would have been lovely if you could also have delved into the Hetu Abhasas. But generally, we restrict our presentation till 8 o'clock, and half an hour has been kept aside for the discussion. Now it's already 8:15, so we can have 15 minutes discussion, and we need to close by 8:30. So over to the audience, please, if there are any questions. Anu, are there questions in the chat box? In that
Yes,
case,
ma'am. There is 2 questions, I think,
can
in
you
the
read
chat box.
it, ma'am?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Shimi CM has asked, is this Anumana same as that of Nayayika's Anumana, or Sri Ramanuja has given more significant points on it?
Which Anumana? I don't get the thing. First, please.
Shimi, can you ask directly?
No, I'll explain. See, what she's asking is that Anumana that you have, it's a general question. The Anumana that you have discussed, what are the points or what are the differences between the general Anumana, which we have been familiarized from the point of Nayayikas and the Rishika?
Yes. First of all, Nyaya school is known as the Pramana Shastra. So only based on the foundation provided by the Nayayikas, all of them pick up the Pramanas. So basic foundation is Nyaya. We don't differ. But yet, whether it is in Advaita system or Vishishta-Advaita system or Dvaita system, and even in the Nyaya system itself, the Navina Nayayikas, they have made a lot of refinements, and whatever has been suggested, dropping the Kevala Vyatireki, all these things, certain other concepts also, that is not accepting Abhava as a separate category, all these things are there given in the Navya Nyaya school itself later. We can see. So they start refining. So we accept the basic foundation of the Nyaya system. Nyaya, it is the Vidyasthana. Vidyasthanas are meant to support Vedas. So when they go contradictory, when they give a different explanation, it is to be brought back, given a proper interpretation, and used to support. Logic is to support our Shabda Pramana. So that is what is being. So basically, Anumana is there. But as we saw, these things, Kevala Vyatireki should not be accepted. All these things, some minor changes, there will be there according to each and every school. So it is there.
Then there is one Praveen who has asked, "Dear man, thank you for such informative session. I have few doubts. In the Kevalanvayi Vyapti, the ultimate or the sadhya can be known by Shabdavachitvam or Vastutvat being an object. In other words, the sadhya possesses both Shabdavachitvam and Vastutvam. Then how it could be Vachama Gocharam? And how can we say that Yato Vacho Nivartande Aprapya Mansa Saha?
No. We need not go up to that level. So when we have an object in the world, we have a name for it. Padartha, even when we define Padartha, what is Padartha? It is Prameyatvam, Abhideyatvam. Whatever can be known through valid means, that is a Padartha. Abhideyatvam, whatever can be conveyed by a word, that is Padartha. So any object, it should, if at all it is an object, it should be known by us, and we should have some name for it, whether it is known to us or not, but somebody should know it and somebody should have named it. So there cannot be an entity without a name. That is what is being said there.
Lovely. And Ramya Chandran has asked, "Madam, could you explain what is the role of Dharma Bhuta Jnana in producing Brahma?"
Yeah, Dharma Bhuta Jnana, see, this is a very significant term. Dharma Bhuta Jnana, that word Bhuta is being given there. If it is given as just a Dharma Jnana, then we will have an illusory knowledge that it is the knowledge which has Dharma as its object. It is not so. Here, Dharma refers to, it is an attributive knowledge. Already there is a soul which is of the essence of knowledge, which by nature is essence. So Dharma Swarupa Jnana is there, and on that we have Dharma Bhuta Jnana. We have an attributive knowledge also, because self itself is essentially knowledge, and in that knowledge there is another attributive knowledge which contracts and expands due to karma. If you have karma, it contracts, and if you have no karma, it expands to the maximum. That is why in the moksha level we become sarvajna. So only this, due to the prasara of this Dharma Bhuta Jnana, just as the Nayayikas have, it goes through, comprehends objects, all those things are there.
Yeah.
As accepted by the Nayayikas.
Nirmala PSS asked, Dr. Usha was saying that two things have to be avoided according to Vedas. I didn't get the second one.
See, one is Asannikrishta Dvayam, Tadrupyena Parichiti, defining a thing as it is, and telling that this thing is something different from how it is seen. We see a pot, but scripture, no, it is not a pot. It will not say something which is not there. That is a point. It will not say a pot is a pot, or it will not say the pot is a cloth.
Can you repeat? No, this is my question. Can you repeat that shloka?
असन्निकृष्ट वाचा च द्वयम् अत्र जिहासितं ताद्रूप्येण परिचित्तिः तद् विपर्ययतोऽपि वा.
ताद्रूपेण
परिचित्तिः.
परिचितिः.
Tad viparyeto. See, when there is a pot, let me be much more clear. Looking at a pot, we say that I am gataha because I comprehended a gata to be possessed of gatatva. Gatatvavan gataha. I comprehended it, so I say I am gataha. But there is somebody who has not, in the instances of illusion we can take, we look at the shell and say that it is rajata. Here, shuktitva, or the state of being a shell, it was not comprehended by us. So it will not be an illusory statement. So shuktitva is not present in rajatatva, but yet in those instances we comprehend, we misunderstand that it is present there. Similarly, looking at a pot, it will not say that it is a cloth. Viparita, it will not say that also. And stating that no, this is actually a cloth only, but you comprehend it in a wrong way. It won't say, because there is a prabala pramana bada, it won't accept it. To be very simple, let me tell you, scriptures will not say what you know through a pramana, and it will not also say what contradicts another pramana. That is the point.
Beautiful, beautiful. So lovely, Usha. We can sit and listen to you for the whole of the night. Lovely. But then, see, the time is restrictive, and all good things will have to come to an end. Over to Anu.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all who have participated in the interactive session. Finally, I invite Dr. Sheba, Assistant Director, ISSS, to deliver a vote of thanks.
Good evening to one and all. Respected Chair of today's session, Dr. Shrikala Ma'am, Director, International School of Sri Shankaracharya Studies, today's renowned resource person, Dr. Usha Srinivasan, distinguished scholars, and my dear students, a warm good evening to one and all. The Sri Shankara Studies Circle, under the auspices of Sri Shankara International School for Sri Shankaracharya Studies, Shankaracharya University Kaladi is continuously organizing its prestigious monthly program under the title Moola Grantha Padaha Vyakyacha. Today, we are very lucky as our resource person, an eminent Sanskrit scholar, Dr. Usha Srinivasan, already very brilliantly explained all the aspects of Anumāna Pramana, the second Avatāra of Yatīndramata-dīpika, the authentic philosophical treatise on Vishishtadvaita Vedanta. It is my pleasure and privilege to express our sincere thanks for explaining the second Avatāra and for answering all the queries in a brilliant manner. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. I express my sincere thanks to our director, Professor Shrikala ma'am, for organizing all these academic activities without any delay. She is organizing all the programs in a scheduled manner. Tomorrow we are organizing an ICPR Indian Philosophers Day celebration, 2 days celebration on Indian Day with the financial support of ICPR. Thank you, Srikala ma'am, for chairing this session and also for introducing the speaker. Several distinguished scholars and my dear students joined this online meeting for making this academic event and a very successful one. On behalf of International School for Sri Shankaracharya Studies, I express our sincere thanks to all the participants. Once again, I thank one and all. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Particularly thank you, Usha ji, Usha Srinivasan ji, and my thanks are also to Professor Narasimhan, who is my good friend, to have introduced Usha ji to me. Thank you so much. And once the COVID is down, we wish that both of you are with us for an extended meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
So we had a nice time with the Granthas.
Yeah. We could have had an extended discussion, but then I'm very particular about, the closing the session at the right time. Time is one God that we visibly see. So we should be bound by that. But thank you so much. We could have listened to the whole night because, I am also initiated to Nyaya. So lovely to listen to the Shastras as it has been rightly represented. Particularly when you spoke about, the Shastra Yonitva and how this sutra has been preserved in the Vishishtadvaita tradition.
Yes.
Lovely. Wonderful. Thank you so much, ma'am. We'll again invite you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good night to all.